uncovering the full truth of Elisa Lam's disappearance. In the sprawling city of Los Angeles, there are countless stories. Stories of hope, fame, and desperation. But some stories stick around, clinging to the city's darker corners. They become modern folklore, whispered on internet forums and dissected in late-night conversations. In the winter of 2013, a story like that took root at the infamous Cecil Hotel, a place already steeped in a century of tragedy. It's the story of a young woman who vanished, leaving behind just a few minutes of chilling, unexplainable footage that would turn her case into one of the most debated mysteries of our time. This is the story of Elisa Lam. In February 2013, guests at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles began to complain. The water in their taps was discolored, the pressure was low, and it had a strange taste. They had no idea that for weeks, they'd been drinking, bathing, and brushing their teeth with water from a rooftop tank where the body of a missing tourist, Elisa Lam, was decomposing. But how she got there, and what happened inside a hotel elevator in her final hours, would become one of the most chilling and perplexing mysteries we've ever seen. Was she the victim of a terrible crime, a tragic accident, or something else entirely? To even begin to understand what might have happened, we first have to understand who she was. Section 1. The Traveler. Elisa Lam was, by all accounts, a bright and thoughtful 21-year-old student from Vancouver, British Columbia. The daughter of immigrants from Hong Kong, she was studying at the University of British Columbia and, like many young people, was trying to find her place in the world. She documented her thoughts, anxieties, and dreams on her public blog. Reading her posts gives you a sense of a deeply introspective, empathetic, and sometimes vulnerable young woman. She wrote about fashion, quoted authors like Chuck Palahniuk, and wrestled with her own feelings of depression. In one post, she wrote, "No matter how much I feel, I'm not going to let it out. If my heart starts going crazy, I'm not going to tell everyone in the world about it. It doesn't help anything." In another from 2012, she confessed to having a relapse and feeling like she was wasting her life. It's a feeling many people her age can relate to. But for Elisa, these feelings were amplified by a diagnosed medical condition, bipolar disorder. She was prescribed a combination of 4 different medications to manage the intense highs of mania and the crushing lows of depression. Her family would later tell investigators that she sometimes didn't take her medication, which had previously led to episodes involving hallucinations and delusions. Despite these struggles, Elisa was determined to live. In January of 2013, she embarked on a solo adventure she called her West Coast Tour. It was a trip of self-discovery down the California coast by train and bus. She visited the San Diego Zoo, posted photos, and seemed to be enjoying her independence. Her next stop was Los Angeles. On January 28th, she checked into a hotel in the heart of downtown L.A., with a reputation so dark it had become a character in its own right. She checked into the Cecil Hotel. Why she chose this hotel is still debated. It was affordable and centrally located, and she was a young traveler on a budget. She probably had no idea she was walking into a place some called Hotel Death. Section 2. The Hotel of Death. To understand the mystery of Elisa Lam, you have to understand the Cecil Hotel. Built in the 1920s as a grand destination for business travelers, its 700 rooms were meant to exude class. But the Great Depression hit hard, and the hotel, located on the edge of the destitute area known as Skid Row, began a long decline. It became a transient hotel, a magnet for misery and violence. The Cecil's reputation isn't just hype. It's written in a century of police reports. The list of documented deaths at the Cecil is staggering. Over the years, numerous non-natural deaths have been recorded within its walls, including suicides, murders, and overdoses. The infamous Black Dahlia, Elizabeth Short, was rumored to have been seen drinking at the Cecil's bar shortly before her gruesome, unsolved murder in 1947, though this remains an unconfirmed part of the legend. The hotel's darkest chapter came in the 1980s when it was home to two separate serial killers. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, reportedly lived on the top floor during his terrifying killing spree, disposing of bloody clothes in the hotel dumpster. A few years later, Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger also stayed at the Cecil and is believed to have murdered at least 3 women during his time there. This is the atmosphere Elisa Lam walked into, a building that seemed to have a gravitational pull for tragedy. Initially, she was placed in a shared hostel-style room, but her roommates soon complained about her erratic behavior, claiming she left strange notes on their beds and would lock them out. As a result, the hotel moved Elisa into a private room. She was now completely isolated within the walls of one of America's most notorious hotels. Section 3. The Disappearance. Elisa's trip continued. She attended a live TV show taping, but was reportedly escorted out by security for disruptive behavior. On January 31, 2013, the day she was scheduled to check out and head to Santa Cruz, she visited the Last Bookstore, a famous local landmark. She bought books and music as gifts for her family. The staff remembered her as cheerful and outgoing. It was the last time anyone outside the hotel reported seeing her alive. January 31st came and went. Elisa never checked out. She never made it to Santa Cruz. And most alarmingly, she stopped her daily calls home to her parents. For her close-knit family, the silence was terrifying. Knowing her mental health history, they immediately feared the worst and contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. On February 1st, Elisa Lam was officially reported as a missing person. LAPD began their investigation, and her parents flew to Los Angeles to help. Investigators entered Elisa's room at the Cecil and found it undisturbed. All her belongings, her wallet, laptop, ID, and medications, were still there. This suggested she hadn't been robbed and hadn't planned on a long absence. It also allowed investigators to see her prescriptions, and they quickly noticed that she had a large number of pills left, indicating she might have been under-medicating or had stopped taking them altogether. Police searched the hotel as best they could, but without probable cause, they couldn't search every one of the 700 rooms. They brought in police dogs to pick up her scent. The dogs followed a trail from her room, but lost the scent near a window, leading to a fire escape. Weeks passed with no leads. Desperate for a breakthrough, the LAPD decided to release their only real lead, a piece of surveillance footage that would turn this missing person case into a global obsession. Section 4. The Elevator Video. On February 13th, the LAPD released a video to the public. It was a grainy piece of footage from a security camera inside one of the Cecil Hotel's elevators, running for about 4 minutes. It is, without a doubt, one of the most unsettling and analyzed pieces of footage out there. The video begins with Elisa entering the elevator. She leans over and appears to press a whole column of buttons before retreating to the corner, waiting for the doors to close. But they don't. After about 20 seconds, she cautiously creeps forward and peeks her head out, looking both ways as if checking for someone. Seeing nothing, she jumps back into the elevator, pressing herself against the wall as if hiding. The doors still won't close. She inches forward again, stepping into the hallway. Her movements are jerky and uncertain. She steps back to the control panel and again presses several buttons, but the doors remain open. This is where it gets truly bizarre. She steps out into the hallway and begins to gesture with her hands. Her arms move, her fingers splay and twist, making it look for all the world like she's talking to someone, or something, just out of the camera's view. She seems to be explaining something, her hands moving in a strange, fluid dance. After nearly a minute of this, she turns and walks away down the hall. Only then do the elevator doors finally slide shut. The video went viral instantly, viewed millions of times across the globe. Everyone had a theory. Was she playing a game? Was she hiding from someone pursuing her? Was she having a severe psychotic episode, interacting with hallucinations that were terrifyingly real to her? Internet sleuths dissected every frame. Some claimed the video had been tampered with, pointing to the blurred timestamp at the bottom, suggesting footage might have been edited out by police. Others focused on the elevator game, urban legend, where pressing buttons in a certain order is said to open a portal to another dimension. The video offered no answers, only a horrifying sense of dread. Section 5. The Discovery. While the internet was exploding with theories, a grim situation was unfolding back at the Cecil. Days after the video's release, guests began making disturbing complaints. The water pressure was low, and the water itself had a strange, foul taste and a brownish-black color. As complaints mounted, a maintenance worker, Santiago Lopez, was sent to investigate the hotel's rooftop water cisterns on the morning of February 19, 2013. The tanks were 4 large, cylindrical containers, each about 10 feet tall, holding the water supply for the hotel. Lopez immediately saw that the hatch on top of one of the main tanks was open, which was unusual. He climbed the ladder attached to the side of that tank and peered down into the dark water. That's when he saw her. Floating face up, just below the surface, was the body of a woman. It was Elisa Lam. The discovery sent shockwaves through the city. The scene was as gruesome as it was baffling. Elisa's body was found naked. Her clothes, the same ones she wore in the elevator video, were in the tank with her, along with her watch and room key. The tank was one of 4 1,000-gallon cisterns on the roof. The opening was so narrow that the fire department had to drain the entire tank and cut a hole in the side of the massive cylinder to finally extricate her. The horrifying truth was now undeniable. For up to 19 days, guests at the Cecil Hotel had been using water from a tank that held a decomposing body. The question of "where is Elisa Lam" was answered, but a new, more disturbing question took its place. How did she get in there? Section 6. The Investigation and Autopsy. With the discovery of Elisa's body, the case became a death investigation. The primary question was whether it was a homicide, suicide, or an accident. The autopsy results only added to the mystery. The medical examiner found no evidence of physical trauma, no bruises, no cuts, no signs of a struggle or sexual assault. This made the idea of foul play much harder to support. The toxicology report was equally confounding for those who suspected illicit drugs. No illegal substances were found in her system. The only drugs detected were trace amounts of her prescription medications and some over-the-counter pills. Critically, her prescribed antipsychotic medication was not detected, and levels of her other medications were very low. This strongly suggested she was under-medicating or had stopped taking her prescriptions in the days before her death. For months later, the coroner released the final ruling: accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. The official theory was that Elisa, likely experiencing a severe psychotic episode, had made her way to the roof. It's unclear if the alarmed rooftop access door was bypassed or disabled, but police believed she could have used the fire escape. In her paranoid state, she may have seen the water tank as a place to hide. The maintenance worker confirmed the tank lid was open when he found her. The coroner suggested that once inside, she may have removed her heavy clothing to try and stay afloat before eventually succumbing to exhaustion or hypothermia and drowning. Her parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hotel, but a judge dismissed the case in 2015, ruling the hotel could not have reasonably foreseen a guest climbing into a water tank. Officially, the case was closed. Section 7. The Theories. For the authorities, the case was closed. But for the internet, it was just beginning. The official explanation felt too simple for many, leaving a void that dozens of theories rushed to fill. The most persistent theory is foul play. Proponents just don't believe Elisa could have gotten into that tank by herself. They focus on the heavy water tank lid, arguing it was too much for her to lift and closed from the inside, though the worker who found her said it was open. They see the elevator video as proof she was being pursued by a real person who murdered her and hid her body without leaving a single trace of evidence. The second major theory is the official one, a tragic psychotic episode linked to her bipolar disorder. This is the explanation supported by the evidence. From this perspective, her behavior in the elevator was a manifestation of terror, hiding from figures only she could see. Her strange hand gestures weren't a conversation, but the physical expression of a frantic, disorganized mind. Climbing into a dark, enclosed space like a water tank could have felt like the ultimate hiding spot. It's a heartbreaking theory because it suggests she died not at the hands of a monster, but as a victim of her own mind. Then there are the paranormal theories. Given the Cecil Hotel's history, it was inevitable. Some believe Elisa was interacting with one of the spirits said to haunt the hotel, but this remains entirely outside the realm of verifiable fact. Adding to the eerie feeling was the strange similarity to the 2005 horror film Dark Water, which features a nearly identical plot point of a girl's body being found in a rooftop water tank, causing the building's water to turn black. Finally, the internet spawned some truly wild conspiracies. The most famous of these is the Elisa theory. Sleuths discovered that Elisa is the name of a tuberculosis test. Around that time, there had been a TB outbreak on Skid Row. This led to a baseless theory that Elisa was a biological weapon carrier who was silenced. There is absolutely zero evidence to support this. It's a powerful example of how pure coincidence fueled speculation. So what is the full truth of Elisa Lam's disappearance? The evidence points toward a deeply sad and tragic accident. A young woman in the throes of a severe mental health crisis who found herself in a dangerous situation she couldn't escape. Her death was ruled an accident, and there is no credible evidence to suggest otherwise. And yet, the questions linger. Could she really have lifted that tank lid by herself? Was the elevator video truly edited? These doubts, combined with the sinister history of the Cecil Hotel and the unforgettable horror of that final video, have turned Elisa Lam's story into more than just a tragic case. It has become modern folklore. It serves as a chilling reminder of the dark places the human mind can go and the fine line that separates fact from fiction. The case may be officially closed, but for many, the mystery will never truly be solved. So what do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Do you believe the official ruling, or do you think there's more to the story? Let me know your theories in the comments.